Oh, pardon me. Welcome to this evening's A Moment in Science. This evening I'm going to present to you some very important tomes. Tomes being books. The first book I would like to introduce you to is a book about my favorite scientist, the man who I model my crazy hair as well as my mustache after, Mr. Albert Einstein. This particular book, Albert Einstein, written by Kathleen Kroll, is a story, a biography of the very famous scientist Albert Einstein. You might know of this man from such formulas such as E = mc squared. But there's more to this man than just energy = mass times a constant squared, the constant meaning the speed of light. This man is an inspiration to all of us. Albert Einstein went from being a horrible, poor student who actually got F's in school to being one of the most brilliant physicists that our scientific literature now holds. This book will introduce you to this man. It'll explain to you his boyhood, what he was like growing up, what life was like in Nazi Germany and why he escaped to the US during World War II. It will also help you understand a little bit more that just because you don't get spectacular grades in school, you can still do science and you can still be interested in them. Once again, this is Albert Einstein, written by Kathleen Kroll. It is part of the Giants of Science series, and I hope that you might take a moment to read this someday. Our next book this evening is Manfish, a story of Jacques Cousteau, written by Jennifer Byrne and illustrated by Eric Péberet. How many of you have ever been to the ocean before? Have you been amazed by its beautiful shimmering water? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be able to swim under the water with the fishes? If you have a lot in common with French scientist and inventor Jacques Cousteau. Jacques Cousteau was fascinated by the ocean as a young child. He was also fascinated by the video camera. In this picture book, intended for older readers, you'll find out that Jacques Cousteau took apart a camera and put it back together again at a very, very young age. He also invented the aqualung, or what we now know as scuba diving gear. You'll also understand more about his passion of the ocean and some of the discoveries that he made while exploring the ocean with his two best friends. Manfish, the story of Jacques Cousteau. If you need a great picture book that'll help you understand a little bit more about science, or that you can just enjoy beautiful illustrations too, I highly recommend this novel. Our next book is They All Laughed, From Light Bulbs to Lasers, the fascinating stories behind the great inventions that have changed our lives. This book is written by Ira Flatow, which, if you've ever had to listen to NPR and have stumbled across Science Friday, you might be familiar with this particular author because he's currently the host of that show. In this book, you'll be introduced to many different inventors and inventions, everything from the title of lasers and light bulbs, as well as the blender, lasers, and many, many others, including the television set and the controversy behind the television set. This book was originally written by adults. However, junior high students can also enjoy this book, and I would highly recommend it if you would like a challenging read or if you would like to learn more in depth about some inventors and inventions. Lastly, our final book is Girls Think of Everything, Stories of Ingenious Inventions by Women, written by Kathleen Temesh and illustrated by Melissa Sweet. This book, that includes several pictures but isn't a picture book, gives us the stories behind many of the inventions that were created by women, including things such as glow paper, whiteout, and the Nestle Toll House cookie. You'll find out in this book that necessity is the mother of all inventions. And at the very end, if you've ever had a time in which you have invented something, it gives you information on how to apply for a patent. So even if you are not a scientist sitting behind boiling flasks and doing important calculations on a 1910 calculator, you can become a scientist. Thank you very much for joining us this evening on Tomes of Science, and I hope to see you again. Good night.